It's time to get educated on your Second Amendment rights. Welcome to 2 full hours of Gun Owners Radio. Your hosts Dave Stahl, Joe Germisi, and Michael Schwartz will teach you about firearms, self-defense, and the laws that affect your rights to keep and bear arms. Visit gunownersradio.com with questions to learn how to become a sponsor of Gun Owners Radio and get involved. Together, we will win. Now here's your hosts, Dave Stahl, Joe Germisi, and Michael Schwartz on The Answer San Diego.
All right, folks, welcome to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Uvalde, Buffalo, and New York have proven again that gun laws just don't work. Criminals, by definition, do not obey the laws. So why would more laws that don't work start working? It just doesn't make any sense. Gun control laws just make it harder for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves. Instead of making it harder for bad guys to get guns, what if by making it easier for good guys to get guns? What's the best way to do that? Just join a Second Amendment activist group like San Diego County Gun Owners. SDCGO makes activism easy. Join today at SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com. Go to SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com and join today. Gentlemen,
we got a whole panel here.
Yeah, you got a full house.
Should we go around should we do like Mickey Mouse Club, go around the room and
okay.
I'm Annette.
I'm John.
All right, why don't we start with John Petrolino.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here with you guys. It's been a long time coming to get out to the left coast, so thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Oh, is that where that accent came from? Makes me want a sandwich. Does that make you want to have a sandwich?
Or a hoagie.
Well, okay.
I think they're called hoagies back there, aren't they?
Pizza steak. That's
now
what
I'm actually starving is what the problem is.
Wit? Or what is it? Wit whiz? Or
Wit whiz without whiz, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wit whiz, yeah.
But you're from New Jersey, right?
I'm from New Jersey, yep.
And people know you as?
John Petrolino, the Pen Patriot.
The Pen Patriot.
That's right.
Oh, I like
And congratulations on your award last night.
Thank you so much, and I'm very humbled to have received it. Thank you so much for bestowing it upon me.
Absolutely. You won it's the 2022 Media Figure of the Year Award. San Diego County Gun Owners at Gun Prom.
Did they change that this year? Didn't that used to be like the leg lamp that you get when you do that?
No. That was a whole different. That's a whole different dinner.
But that's a major award.
Yeah, that's a major award. The one you got's not as fragile.
No, but it is a major award. It really is a major award. So
Yeah,
I
truly.
appreciate it. Yeah.
It's an honor to give it to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And to your left, Charlie Cook. Or I'm sorry, just Charlie.
Just Charlie. I want to go by one name. That's
Just
it.
one
name.
I don't blame you.
Like Bono, like Elvis, like Kramer.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
You definitely never want to go by three names.
Right. Three names means you're a
Three names
you're an
means
assassin.
Yeah, you're probably spending time.
Right.
One name you might be famous. Three names you're famous for all the wrong reasons. So.
Exactly.
And people know Charlie from
Riding Shotgun with Charlie,
which I just did.
I filmed 4 shows in the last 2 days, which is awesome.
Really? Okay, so me, Ursula, Joe,
and I interviewed Dustin Hayes from the Red, White, and Badass Brew Coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Cool. With what's his? I'm not a big coffee guy, but there's one. It's called Whiskey Business.
Whiskey Business. He said that was his bestseller. He gave me a couple of pouches of that and one of his other coffees as well.
I really wanted him. He's got some kids. I really think that he should have named at least one of his daughters Purple. Right? But no one ever listens to me. Purple Haze.
Purple Haze.
Awesome.
That'd be funny.
Cool. Are you guys enjoying San Diego?
We're having a great time. The weather's awesome. Thanks for getting us some good weather.
Yeah, it's normal.
I hear this and I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, how come everyone doesn't move here? You
got about an hour?
Well, they do. Everybody moves here, and they get a place in Pacific Beach, and they meet a girl, and they have fun, and then they go broke, and then they move back to wherever they came from.
I can see that.
Or you do like me, and you live out in the hills, where nobody's out there except me and 14,000 other people, and we're just doing just fine.
Nice.
But, yeah, welcome out. I mean, how long have you been out?
There's a funny story behind this. I got here on Thursday, and John and his family were supposed to be here Thursday, but they ended up getting their flight got canceled. So I had Friday to hang out and do nothing. And
why didn't you call me? I didn't know you were in town.
I didn't. I had no idea what to do. Like, I find myself in a new city.
There's so much to do in this town.
Well, I went down to the what is it? The lamp.
Gas
lamp.
lamp.
The
Gas
gas
lamp.
lamp district. Yeah, I hung out. I walked around down there. Walked up and down the streets. I'm like, this is pretty cool, and enjoyed an adult beverage at one of the little places, and ended up going back to the hotel.
Did you
and
make it
taking
to
a nap.
the beach?
I'm not a beach guy.
No, I didn't ask you if you were a beach guy. I said, did you make it to the beach?
That would be a no. But
'Cause
our
there's some awesome restaurants along the wall.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
man, you should have called me and Jackson. We'd have taken you to some Mexican places,
nice.
showing you all the hot spots.
That would have been cool. I should have thought about this, but I was
That's
like,
right. As we're beating you up,
I know, right?
mercilessly.
So
So when
here-
you go back tomorrow?
So I'm heading back on Wednesday.
Oh.
And we're you want to tell them what we're doing?
So as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go pick up Mrs. P and Little P over at the zoo. That's where I was this morning. And then we're all going to drive to Anaheim, and we're going to see the mouse tomorrow.
Nice. I'm going to Disneyland.
Going to Disneyland. So, yep, we're all going to Disneyland tomorrow, and then Charlie's got shows on Tuesday. And we're going to be doing the California Adventure, and then back to Disneyland, and then maybe Universal or something like that.
Cool. So here's how the show's going to go, by the way, everybody. So we're going to talk about a bunch of issues. We don't have anybody calling in this time. It's because we have people that usually call in here in the studio. So we're going to talk about issues. We're still going to have Sam come on, and we're going to try to stump him. And of course, you got Action Jackson and Joe Dramisi here. Well, Joe, did you enjoy Gun Prom?
Oh, I had a great time at Gun Prom last night. Yeah, it's always fun. I always like Gun Prom.
What'd you like?
So it's again, I get to see people that I only see once in a while. I get to see Joe Hollywood, who I hardly get to see. I saw Scott Vincent again. I saw a bunch of people that I seem to see like once or twice a year. So that's kind of the part I like. Even saw Dave there. Who,
Which Dave?
This Dave.
Oh,
You didn't even see me.
I did. I was on. I saw you up on stage.
Well, that's because I just was trying to see if I could get more money for the show.
Yeah.
And I didn't. The flamethrower was interesting. You know,
Yeah.
I
No,
can't buy a 10-round.
You can't talk about that.
Well, I can't buy a
Action
10-round
Jackson will
magazine.
start crying.
I can't buy a 10-round magazine, but I can buy a flamethrower.
Yeah, I
By
know.
a flamethrower. So I don't know if you know this. I'm not even joking. It comes with a California legal tip. Like the nozzle has to be California legal.
Gosh.
Not even joking about that. I was like, I was making jokes about, is this California legal?
Yes, it is.
And Lee at Gunfighter Tactical was like, well, it is because we have this California legal tip, whatever.
Yeah, what makes it California legal? Did you ask?
So I think the regular nozzle, shoots it like a stream, and this one's more of a poof.
So like the flame can only be like 300 degrees or something.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a nice cool flame. So
Compliments to the chef. The food was great.
good.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
We're gonna talk all about Gun Prom. We're gonna talk about different issues. John Petrolino, author of what's the name of your book?
Decoding Firearms.
Which is I think it's the best. I described it as like a firearms training manual.
Yeah, it's a easy to read guide on general gun safety and use. So I try to take the new gun owner or those that want to be gun owners or gun users and go from beginning to end on the 101 level things that you need to know to become a shootist. The safety rules and different operation and function of different types of firearms. So it's very heavy on the pistol end because that's what's popular, but covered a little bit of everything.
Excellent.
And of course, tracking with Charlie, and we're gonna have all kinds of cool perspectives, and it's gonna be a good show.
The Penn Patriot, John Petrolino, and Riding Shotgun with Charlie Cook are in the studio.
But first, if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California firearms lawyer John Dillon. If you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant, Call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws at 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at dillonlawgp.com.
All right, so I'll tell you what. Why don't we kick it off with something that happened last week? Something that happened local, but it's being discussed national, and they keep dredging up the same proposals to try to take our guns away. The County Board of Supervisors, San Diego County Board of Supervisors, which if you don't know what the County Board of Supervisors does, you're not alone. They are, think of the County Board of Supervisors, they're like the city council for the entire county. So there are 5 of them. There are 5 districts in the county, equal population in each district about. And they make regulations that really affect the county as a whole, but a lot of times they only affect the unincorporated areas. So we have 18 cities. So it's really like Lakeside's unincorporated, but Santee's incorporated. So sometimes they'll pass regulations that would apply just to like Lakeside or Alpine, and not El Cajon and Santee. Mm-hmm. Anyway, here's what they voted for. And this is, of course, everybody's favorite, Nathan Fletcher. He and what's her name? Tara
Raymer.
Lawson Raymer. Here's what they're going to do. And this passed 3-2. They're going to have the sheriff's department look at every case where a gun is involved. If they arrest somebody, take a gun off a criminal, whatever. They're going to have the county council, which those are the attorneys for the county. They represent the county. They're going to evaluate each case and possibly recommend a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the gun. They want to participate or possibly file a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the gun that they found on the criminal for whatever reason. They'll make up some stupid angle that won't make any sense to anybody. But here's the twist. At the very end, so Nathan Fletcher and what's her name, Lawson Remmer, they put out a press release, did a press conference, made their rounds on media, did their ridiculous dog and pony show just about manufacturers. And then at the very end, right before they were about to vote, he added that gun shops and gun distributors are also eligible to
be sued.
So every gun shop out there is potentially a target for a lawsuit. Now, the whole point of this, of course, is not to keep people safe. The whole point of this is to bankrupt gun shops, gun distributors, and gun manufacturers, and bully them out of the business of selling to civilians. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, again, that's typical. That's what they do. It's that's not surprising at all. I mean, it's been tried a bunch of times. San Jose has something similar with the insurance requirements.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with public safety. It has nothing to do with crime. It has to do with keeping people, law-abiding citizens from owning guns. I mean, John, you have the same kind of thing. You have the same kind of regime in your home state, and they do similar things. Is that right?
Yep. And just last week, or this week, I guess it would have been, we had some stuff going through the Senate and their Judiciary Committee about the same exact topic, about being able to hold the gun companies, liable for, all their misdeeds, when in reality, nobody wants to go after the elephant in the room, which is the criminal act, or whatever. So we're dealing with the same stuff in Jersey, and hopefully, we don't get that passed, but we'll see. California and Jersey are kind of strange and similar bedfellows in the sense that they like to pass ridiculous laws that don't do anything for public safety.
Well, and it's interesting too, these things aren't readily challenged, because like you would apply that kind of logic to no other thing at all. If a drunk driver plows into a family and kills a bunch of people and they're driving an F-150, nobody mentions, okay, we should sue Ford for that.
Yeah. Or that they're drunk. They're not going to sue the alcohol
or the
company.
alcohol manufacturer.
Yeah,
Whatever.
who needs a Ford F-150, I mean, geez.
Have an urban assault vehicle. That's right.
And the big problem with that is, too, when you're dealing with this kind of legislation, if it passes into law, then you have to have an injury claim. Then you have to have all these things to litigate. And
then you got a whole new lawyer group coming up out of the swamp.
Yep. So it's not easy.
Well, and the thing it does, too, is, the state has pretty deep pockets, as does the county. So, they know that a lot of people aren't going to be able to fight it necessarily, unless you get organizations, like I'm sure Firearms Policy Coalition, those guys will jump in here.
We've already talked about it.
But the average person's not going to be able to fight this stuff. And they know that, and they know they can outlast most, organizations and lawsuits. And even if they don't, they get to impose their thing for the years that it takes to work through the courts, and it may or may not, get all the way up to the Supreme Court. If it does, okay, well, we got to have our way for 10 years.
Well, so my theory on this is that, Nathan's diabolical, but he's not unintelligent. And my theory on this whole thing is that this is a PR thing. They put it out there. They get their message out there.
And he knows he's not going to win.
Well, I think that he knows. Most people who are rational thinking and kind of understand the system knows this is not going to stand up in court. There's already federal law. There's already case law. It's not going to stand up in court. But then he gets to say, hey, I did something. And then when it gets struck down in court, he gets to blame the court. Well,
I tried.
I'm trying to, kids and so I it's just a big stupid PR move, and there's no sweat off of his nose. It's our tax money. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think he's legit? Do you think he's sincere?
You must have a Nathan Fletcher back where you're from.
Oh, I'm sure we do. Absolutely. I think it's all the politicians in Massachusetts. I just sidetracked me, man. You brought something up, and I was going to go someplace, and I lost my track.
You didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
I did not.
You stayed at Town and Country because you went to Gun Prom.
I think I stayed at the Town.
So watch this. What were you just talking about before we went to him?
So I think he knows it's a PR move.
It's total PR move. We already have this thing. It's called the PLCCAA. It's the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Acts that says that you cannot sue the manufacturer for illegal use. And then this is where the anti-gun wackos get into the whole, the guns aren't regulated and blah blah blah. And no, they are regulated. And you can sue a manufacturer if the gun doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
Right.
So when people take a lawful product and they go out and illegally use it or use it in a crime, it's not the object's fault, it's the person's fault. And I don't know if you guys have seen the meme. I saw this meme this past week, and it was the murderer from Uvalde and a picture of Kyle Rittenhouse. And on the top one, and it says on the top one we're blaming the gun, and on the bottom one with Rittenhouse we're blaming the person.
That's right.
And it's interesting how it's the same tool that these guys used, but in one we're going after the person, the other one we're going to go after the gun because they know they can't go after the person because he's now dead and he's got mental issues and all this other sort of stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Have you talked to Michael? Have you talked to some of the shop owners around here about that? Because I know a lot of the shop owners that I know are small business kind of people. It's not like they have big margins and they have a lot of money to play with and all that. Is this? You would think this would be pretty intimidating to a lot of the shops and ranges.
We haven't had any deep conversations yet. We're just starting to roll it out. I don't think a lot of them even know it yet. But you're right. Most of the shops in San Diego, I got to tell you, I've been all over California looking at gun shops and ranges. And San Diego is some really great shops. There's a lot of shops compared, but they're mom and pop shops. They're the owners behind the counter, and they don't have some big legal department. And you're right, they don't have the margins are slim, and they're getting slimmer, and the internet made that worse. So one lawsuit could easily put a shop owner out of business, frankly, and they know that, and they're hoping for that. And I don't know how this is all going to go, but
it's so my attitude is if when the politicians find out they can't come after guns specifically, they can't take them away, and we got the whole shall not be infringed and all that. Then what they do is they find other things to make it more difficult. So the price of ammo will go up, or the availability of ammo will go up. And you can have one of these, but it's got to be restricted this way and this way, this way. And this is just another way that they can do it. And say, well, listen, the store manufacturer or the store owner that the person bought the gun from can now be held liable. So that's going to drive that person out of business. And then they're all going to go to another store and they're going to drive that one out of business. And it's just never going to end until, since they can't come after the guns, they'll come after everything else.
And that's exactly what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's and we'll get to the because we're expecting a Supreme Court ruling here shortly. We'll get to that later in the show. But it's the same kind of thing where they make these rulings, but then they either don't follow the rulings and nothing happens, or like Charlie was saying, they add stuff onto it to make it effectively not following the ruling. Basically, it's like, okay, people can buy firearms, but we'll just make it so expensive and so difficult to do this that it'll discourage most people from being able to do it, or some people just won't be able to. And it's unfortunate that there's not a good remedy or a way around that. I mean, there are some, but it's
nothing's fast.
Yeah,
it's going to take. Honestly, my hope is that we get this cleared up by the time I kick off. And I think I think that our generation will have a significant impact on the way the right to keep and bear arms is,
Yeah, but how long has it been since they started trying to take our guns away? How far back?
I would say, what do you guys think? I would say like late 80s, but what do you guys think?
I mean, it depends on which push you're talking about. So,
Yeah,
exactly,
you have 1934, then you have 1938, then you have
my point.
1961, 1968. I mean, there's been pushes and pushes, and there's all kinds of stuff buried that, people don't even realize and see. But the big one, I'd say 68 is where the big kickoff happens.
Pick that up when we come back here.
Hey, do you have jewelry that you're not wearing anymore? Well, maybe a watch that's just, gathering dust. What if you went to Leo Hamill's, sold it? You could use that cash to get a gun or take a pistol class, whatever. So when you sell your used jewelry, watches to Leo Hamill, not only do you get the best deal, you also support a Second Amendment guy. One of the easiest ways to support the Second Amendment is to support our partners like Leo Hamill. You can call him at 619-299-1500, or you can go to his showroom on San Diego Avenue and get awesome service right there at Leo's.
He was there last night at Gun Prom.
Yep.
So I saw a meme, guys, and it was, I've seen every Second Amendment meme, every saying, everyone. And I saw one a couple days ago that I hadn't seen. I thought it was really unique. It said, had God banned rocks after Cain killed Abel, it would have left David completely defenseless against Goliath. I liked that.
I seen that. That was
I
good.
liked that a lot, and the reason I bring that up is so the Biden administration is. It used to be that they would sell a certain amount of, they'd buy all their 5.56 for the military from. Who do they buy it from? It just fell out of my. The lake. Oh no!
Where's Sam when you need him?
I know somebody just like 57 listeners right now that are yelling it into the radio, and I can't think of the. Anyway, so wherever they buy it from, wherever they officially buy the ammo from, they would have surplus, and if they, they'd sell it to the civilian market, and they've stopped doing that. So the Biden administration is stopping that, and in an obvious attempt to make 5.56 more expensive and less available, which is
like gas.
Like gas. Yeah, they're really good at making things more expensive and less available. But anyway, what are your thoughts on that?
So in 2016, I had a guy that I was friends with on Facebook. He was doing this thing called the Ammo Challenge. And what you had to do is every week you had to buy ammo. Didn't matter how much it was. You had to buy some ammo. And then you put a picture of the ammo and a picture of the date on the receipt. And then you had the little ammo challenge, whatever it was, right? And he was doing this during from when Hillary Clinton was nominated until Election Day. And he's like, so if Hillary wins, you will have a stockpile of ammo that is going to get you through. And part of me is like, maybe we need to do this again. You know, like this could be something to that could catch on.
I think a lot of people learned that lesson over the last couple of years. I know I certainly did. I thought I had plenty, and and I thought I had, because I reload a lot of especially my 9mm, and I thought, okay, I got 10,000 of these, I got 5,000 of those. That's plenty. No, it's not. And
it's not. I talked to a guy a couple weeks ago, and he's a relatively new gun guy, and he's like, I got like 250 rounds. I'm like, dude, that's a good start.
That's a weekend practice.
Right. Like, I don't know what you're going to do with that, but
it's an impulse buy.
Right.
I better get a little ammo.
Exactly.
Literally a
the,
little ammo.
Well, and the reason with that, too, it's like I read an article in Guns and Ammo where the guy was saying, this happens from time to time. And he was saying that he was advocating for having about 10 years worth of ammo on hand. He said, figure out what you shoot in a year, multiply it by 10, and that's what you should have. Because, when I looked at it, I thought I had plenty, and it turns out I did not. And I got plenty of end-of-the-world ammo. What I don't have is training ammo. And when, for a while, the last couple of years, I mean, there were periods where you couldn't get anything at all. And I know we used to go, I got some ammo line buddies I wrote about before, where we were standing in line for an hour outside of Big Five every Monday morning. And they'd open the door and they'd say, okay, we got some 45, we got some 38, we got one of these, one of those. And you go in and you'd buy a box or two of whatever they would sell you. And, that's that was really shocking to me. So I think 10 years is a little bit much, but I think for sure I would shoot for 5 years worth of stuff on hand.
See, I'm actually the opposite. You said you don't have any training ammo. You have a bunch of end-of-the-world ammo. Mm-hmm. When COVID and the riots, the mostly peaceful protests happened.
Yes.
I was looking around and I had a bunch of ammo, but look, if you have, range stuff, you're still going to be able to defend yourself. But I didn't have like true self-defense, hollow point, that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, that's kind of silly. And so from here, I made the decision. From here on out, that's all I'm buying. I'm not even buying any practice ammo anymore. I'm just, when I go to the range, I'll use, it's a little bit more expensive. You guys are all nodding your head like, yeah, Mike, a little more. But, I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at these big stacks of practice ammo, and here we're not sure if the world's about to end, and so I made the decision.
Yeah, well, again, the practice ammo. I mean, the military uses practice ammo, right? They're not allowed to use hollow points,
right?
And it seems to work just fine for them,
right.
But it's just that practicing, especially when I was shooting the matches every weekend. It's like, okay, I'm going to shoot 2 or 3 times a week or 4 times a week. I'm shooting a couple of 100 rounds each time I do that. If I can't replace that stuff, and I couldn't reload because I couldn't find primers anywhere. And, I had 6,000 of them or something, but I didn't want to use them up because I can't replace them. And that's, what I saw, the suffering is the training and the practice stuff. I had plenty around if everything really went to heck. But I mean, in terms of having enough to train with every week to, stay at a certain level, that's what I noticed I did not have.
Well, and the cool thing about that meme, it really made 2 points. One is, they were trying to take away the ammo, right? The rock. They were trying to take away the ammo, which obviously the Biden administration is trying to do. But the other part is this is something we don't talk about enough. I try to mention it. I really, truly made a decision a year or 2 ago that every time I'm talking to a reporter, I try to get this out there. The fact that between 1.5 and 2.5 million times per year, depending on how it's counted,
whose numbers you take,
it's someone uses a firearm to defend themselves from a violent attack,
and not necessarily shooting the firearm, just pulling it out and displaying it. Yeah, right. And that's true. It's used many, many, many more times to defend life than it is to take life. And they don't say that. And
we have to say that until every man, woman, and child in the United States knows it. Because that's how they take their false stats and crap. And say it often enough until it people think it's actually true, and that we got to keep saying it and keep saying it and keep saying it.
Well, and that's the other. We've had this discussion before too about you have the really hardcore people that it doesn't matter what you say to them, you're not changing that mind. But there's a lot of people, I think, kind of middle of the road type people that just really don't know. I mean, they don't have any family members, say, that are involved with firearms. They've never done it themselves. They don't really have any friends. They don't know anybody. So everything they learn is from movies and TV and from the news, and most of it's wrong. And, it's just I think a lot of those people would be open to learn. I mean, that's why I think we're so successful with the shooting socials that we have. We do the Women on Target things at the club 4 times a year. And, we get brand new shooters. And, I mean, when I used to do the shooting socials, I remember having a woman that was almost in tears and shaking because she was so afraid of trying this gun thing out. And their friends or somebody had talked her into trying it out. And she was fine afterwards. And she had a great time with it. And I think, there's a lot of people that you can educate. They just don't know. And it's, it's hard for us to get to those people, but I mean, you're right. That's what we need to be concentrating on.
We did a shooting social yesterday. We had 8 people had never touched a gun before, and paired them up with mentors, brought them in. Yesterday morning before gun prom, did the shooting social, and there's one lady in there, Brittany. The look on her face, she was so I don't know. She was very determined. She wanted to be there. She was happy to be there. When we got there in the lane, the look on her face was, I can't believe him. It was almost like she was, about ready to touch like someone's dirty laundry or something, right? And by the end of it, huge smile. She's got, fingers on fingers, and she's, perfect form and everything. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I love seeing that stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's really good when the light bulb goes off with somebody that's new. And I can't tell you how many times I've done this. I actually had a friend of mine, one of my anti-gun friends' wives was into taking photos. So she went and I had her come with me, and she did some pictures for me. And I, use them for whatever, for little promotional stuff. But my buddy said to me, he's like, hey, make sure my wife doesn't shoot any guns. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to, I'm not going to make her do it. While we were there, that night at about 10:30, I got a phone call from him. He's like, dude, what'd you do to my wife? I'm like, what are you talking about?
You never want that phone call.
You don't. And so he said, my wife came back and she said she just shot some guns. You said you weren't going to have her shoot guns. I'm like, oh, I didn't. Someone else came by. They had a pink, one of the pink ARs. And she wanted to shoot that, and then he had a purple gun that she wanted to shoot. So she went and asked him if she could shoot it, and she loved it. She had a great time.
Yeah.
Now I didn't convert her to want to get a license, but
yet.
But I mean, she's a touch more educated about it.
But one of the things that we talked about, I think it was in February, was, and I'm big on education. Charlie's big on education. I think we all are doing the training and the advocacy work that we do. One of the things I'm like, you got to take a class, you got to learn, you got to do. Sometimes you have people that are just so apprehensive that maybe the best thing for that person is, hey, come with me, come to the range, stand in a line, point this in a safe direction, let's load one round and fire it. And that might be all it takes to kind of break that, apprehension they might have. I mean, it all depends, but here's the thing. You don't want somebody sitting in a classroom or a lecture for 4 to 8 hours waiting for the moment that they actually put a live firearm in their hands, and then, have most of what you've taught them not be taught to them because they're not absorbing it. So, you have to do that little dance and feel out your students and stuff, and I just think that's an important thing to consider.
I think that's a good idea, because the intimidation of firing a gun, and I'm going to say male or female, because there's some guys out there that are in just as bad a shape, and that fear factor. And if you have to wait 45 minutes to hear somebody to convince you that it's going to be okay, I don't think so. Just give me the frickin' gun, let me fire it, and I would say even more than once, because it's like having a cocktail, you sip it once. Ooh, I hate that. No, try it again. Oh yeah, it's pretty good. And it's almost like the same thing. It does. Think about it.
Sure.
But so that takes that fear factor. Now take them back in the room and start talking.
Well, you remember that New York Times reporter that claimed to have been traumatized after shooting? Have you guys ever had a news shooter with a bad experience? That had the experience and was just panicked afterwards?
Let's save that for after the break, because that'll be a good one right here. Hey, do you wish cleaning your gun was easy? Well, clean, lube, and protect your gun with Seal One. Seal One CLP Plus is a natural, non-toxic, and environmentally friendly. Clean your guns easier and faster. You'll also smell better, too. Something like the wife would appreciate. Hey, one and done with Seal One. Ask for it by name at your local gun shop or get some on their website at seal1.com. That's seal, the number 1.com. So Jason Austell is going in tomorrow, him and his wife, to take a class from Manny.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they're pretty excited.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Nice
next
shot.
time you talk to him, which I'm sure you will in the near future.
Yeah, I'll inquire.
Yeah, but he's all into all the training. I told him to join San Diego County Gun Owners, and I told him to join, the gun range that he's going to be going to because all the benefits, yada, 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 yada.
So what was the question? Joe, you had a question before we...
Oh, yeah, I was just asking John and Charlie if, of all the times you've taken new shooters to the range, say, have you ever had anybody that's had an experience similar to that New York, the alleged experience that New York Times reporter claimed to have had?
No, not like that. Not even close. I had one student that I was, working with, and when we got done with the shooting portion, I was like, listen, as far as I'm concerned, you've showed your proficiency with the firearm. You're safe. You know what you're doing as far as one-on-one level. We got you on paper, and, if you want to keep shooting, it's gravy, whatever you want to do. She said, no, I'm good. I got to do what I had to do, and, I'll come to the range after I digest everything that we've just done. But I've never had anybody completely freak out by the end of a class or a shooting session. I've had some nervous people, sure, but no, nothing like that.
No, I think this guy had to go to like his safe room and stuff and Play-Doh or something.
He had his emotional support peacock or whatever he needed to have,
My goodness.
I had a student one time. She wanted me to go shopping with her. So we went shopping, and she didn't want a revolver because she thought it was too old school technology. So she fondles all the hardware, as I call it. She went to the gun store. She had a hard time racking the slide on a lot of different guns. So the guy finally says, "Do you want to hold a revolver?" She's like, "I really don't." He's like, "Just try it." So he handed her a Ruger LCR, and she's like, "Oh, this is kind of comfortable." And then she's like, "All I got to do is push this button in and pop the cylinder open." And she's like, "Yeah, that's it." So she bought the gun. We went shooting, we went shooting. She fired about 4 cylinders worth, and she's like, "All right, this kind of hurts my hand." And I'm like, "It's not really a starter gun, but you gotta. People have to start. I think people need to start with whatever they need to start with." And I had a family member that just bought a gun, and it ended up being too small for her. And of course, she didn't bother asking her brother what he thought of his opinion of anything. But it's nice to see them taking the initiative and starting with something and saying, all right, this is why we say guns are like potato chips, and you can't just have one. Like you've got to start somewhere, and this is going to be the gun that you bought, and you said this probably wasn't a good gun. Then you're going to find something else, and then after you find something else to learn to shoot on, then you're going to find something that maybe if you're going to get to the point where you want to carry, this is something that you want to carry.
Well, we had a shooting social not long after that article where the guy shot an AR and had PTSD or whatever, and there was it's all pistol. And then at the end, sometimes we'll bring out an AR, maybe a shotgun. I happened to bring my AR that day, and there was a 17-year-old girl. She was from Poland. She was like a foreign exchange student that one of the students brought in, like, hey, you got to come check this out. And she was bouncing off the walls. She couldn't believe how cool this was. And little 17-year-old girl. And so I thought, all right, let's roll camera. Let's put her on the AR, see what happens. And there's a video on San Diego County Gun Owners on our YouTube page. Showing her shooting an AR for the very first time ever in her life, a 17-year-old girl, and couldn't smile big enough. She loved it. She squeezed a few more off, but we've had, and I run most of these shooting socials, or at least organize them, I should say. I'm not an RSO even. I just kind of organize them, make sure everybody is where they need to be and everything. But I've observed thousands of new shooters. I honestly stopped. It's well north of 10,000, or I should say it's somewhere north of 10,000, and growing every month. I don't even have people, like, most of them start out on 9mm. I've had fewer than a dozen who said, hey, you know what? I better use a 22. Better start out on a 22. Everybody else, 9mm pistol. Most are Glocks. You know, it's not like.
Why do you suppose that is?
Well, it's just I think that this idea that everybody has to start out on a 22 originated back when everybody was carrying a 38, revolver or a 44, like
1911.
Yeah, well, maybe these big bangs, and so they said, you get to start on a 22, but a 9mm is very, very reasonable, and I don't think that that's necessary advice anymore. I think that, most new shooters can start out on a 9mm and be just fine. Now, if they're particularly nervous, okay, great. Put them on a 22. There's no shame, whatever. But like I said, over 10,000 people and maybe a dozen have said, better start on a 22. But that's my experience, and these are people of all walks of life, but they're all new shooters.
That's cool. I try to start people on 22s. I kind of think that the 22 is a gateway drug, and
there's nothing wrong with it. I don't mean
no. It's I'm not saying that. When I hear people say they start people on 9s, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. That's really cool because it's there's one thing where you take someone out and you'll only have them shoot 22s, and then they go buy a 9 and they're like, holy crap, you didn't tell me about this. Like this is a lot bigger bang. There's more recoil. When I take new people to the range, I have them shoot 22s and then have them do a couple of magazines of 9s and then do a couple cylinders of 38s as well. So they get a little bit of variety and they get semi-autos and revolvers. And
well, my wife was lucky enough to win the Barkeep revolver. She must have stuffed every ticket I gave her into that thing, so she cannot wait. And all she did, she picked it up in her hand and moved, because I did the cardinal sin. You never buy your wife a car, and you never buy your wife a gun.
Right.
Right? Well, I've never she's always bought her own cars, and like a dum-dum, I bought her a gun, and it was it's a Smith & Wesson 9mm. She can't rack it. Her hands are too small. So she was at the gun prom last year, and you had one on display. She didn't get that one, but she got this one.
Nice.
So I saw this. The Barkeep was what, the single action revolver with the super short barrel.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And she just
really nice handles on there too.
Yeah, weren't those the coolest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the people we brought, they were all going for that same. But I threw some tickets in there for that flamethrower for Action Jackson.
What do you think?
He wanted that.
Jackson, when you get married, are you ever going to buy a gun for your wife, or are you going to let her buy her own gun? What do you think?
I'd probably buy her a gun.
See?
Probably do that. All right,
Well, he knows more about guns today than I do.
I know.
So
he does.
He'll be in the right shape by the time he gets to that age.
I think he's on the right track.
Yeah, I know too.
He's already thinking about buying his wife stuff. I think he's on the right track.
But, yeah, finding I think your idea of letting them shoot 3 different types of weapons / rounds is really, that's the way to go. Do you throw a shotgun in there?
No, most people I work with just want to get a handgun.
Gotcha.
They want to get to that.
I was going to say that, even you're doing, Charlie, start on the 22. Sometimes I start on the 22. What I'll also do is bring different 9mm. So you have polymer frame, aluminum frame, or even bring a 1911 and 45. Okay, it's a 45. But the weight, everything boils down to the weight of the firearm. And it's that, principles of physics. And if you have the heavier firearm, you're going to have the less felt perceived recoil. So it's trying to get somebody comfortable. I had a veteran of the police force for 20 years, I think she was, and her service firearm's a Beretta 92 FS. That's what she's been using forever. And I said all I brought was some Tupperware guns, and she's like, ugh. So she shot and she said, nope, not for me. But I kept putting them in her hand, and she's like, I can shoot this. But, it's about that perceive the recoil at first and, getting past that. I don't know if you would say you've seen a similar situation with students.
I had a lady that I have. We were talking. I was trying to think of it. It's a Ruger, but it's not an LCP. I think it's the LC9. LC9. Yeah, that's what it is. It's an LC9. So it's small. It's thin, and I had her shoot the Glock 19, and she thought it was a little too big. So she tried this other gun that's a lot smaller. That to me has got more recoil to it, and the slide is harder to rack. And she liked that one better.
Hey. I mean, it's like, well, all of us in this room, I bet you there's not 2 of us that like the same gun.
I like all of them.
Yeah, he likes all of them.
Have you guys seen the GSG? GSG, a German sports guns, makes it's a 1911 platform, but it's in 22. And it's like a $320 gun or something. But it's been on my list for a while because I want to use it for the Women on Target things. And somebody made me believe now that I need a second Glock 19, so it got bumped down a level.
I know why do you need a second Glock 19?
Because I decided now, we were in the class, we're teaching the class.
This is going to be good.
Yeah.
Well, we were teaching a class up at Escondido Friday, and we're shooting at some steels, that were out. The one was out about 30 yards, and it was painted white. It was all shot up, so it was like camouflaged, and it was against brown grass, dried grass, and rocks, and it was hard to see for me. So and it was hard to focus, and I have to have I've got to have my little cheater lenses on there to focus on the iron sights on my Glock 19, because if I don't have my glasses on, I can't get the front sight clear and in focus. So I had some trouble hitting. I mean, I hit it, but I missed it a couple of more times. And I thought, maybe it's getting time maybe to throw a red dot on this 19. So, and I was talking to Bill. Bill has 2 of these on his license, because he's thinking, well, if something happens, if one breaks, if something goes on to where I lose one, I at least have the same other gun on there, which I never really thought about. And then my Ruger, my GP100, quit working the other day. And I thought, wow, I guess they can quit working once in a while. So
there's a lesson, a 2-minute lesson in rationalization right there is what that was.
Yeah, did it sell you?
I'm sold.
That's what
I only have one Glock 19. I feel like a fool.
I know. You should go get at least 3.
Gotta play catch up.
Yeah, dangerously there.
Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, right. Can you say whiplash? Folks, a lot of companies are so frustrated with their website. It looks old, it's out of date, and it's just not getting customers. Well, Sage Tree gets it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. Stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phone ring. Getting started is super easy. 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100, and they will fix your website today. All right, back with John Petrolino and Charlie Cook, since he goes shotgun riding with a lot of people. So
That's right.
You guys did a shotgun episode?
We did.
We all did.
In your Jeep?
No. We actually talked about it. I figured it'd be too loud.
Oh, it would not.
It'd be a little too loud. Charlie, why don't we talk a little bit about riding shotgun with Charlie? Tell us what it is first.
How did it come to be?
Well, what's the format? People have never heard of.
So, Riding Shotgun with Charlie is it's a YouTube show. I wanted to be a podcaster, but how can I not let people see this Adonis of a face, right?
When you got the tools, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had I took the idea obviously from carpool karaoke. I thought that'd be kind of cool, and I was like, this guy's chubby and he's English, and I'm chubby and I speak English. Like I should be able to do this. So I decided that he hangs out with rock stars, and I was a gun instructor at the time, and I'm like, how can I hang out with cool rock star gun folks? So I'm like, I'm going to interview gun people, and I'm going to call it Riding Shotgun. And ridingshotgun.com was taken, so I'm like, I'm going to go call it Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Right, and that's how with Charlie came up.
Okay. Which is actually better.
I think so. So that's what it is, and I interview people in the gun community, and we talk about whatever it is that they do, and spotlight them, and I've discovered that it's really like the conversations we have in cars with people are a lot different than they are when people call in or do a Zoom or
or even sit in studio.
Or it's a little different because there's a different emotional connection that you have with someone when you're riding in the car with them. Yeah. And so I kind of capitalized on that and the whole Riding Shotgun thing, and I took some time to think about a logo for this, and I'm like, I want a window of a truck with a shotgun in the back, and I put Riding Shotgun with Charlie on it, and I thought that was pretty cool, and I just started interviewing some local friends, some gun instructor buddies, some musicians I played in bands with. I interviewed my mentor and stuff, and I ended up interviewing somebody in Minneapolis who was robbed at gunpoint, and his story ended up in a book. Jeez. And I ended up interviewing one of the guys that co-authored the book, and he's like, it was Mark Walters from Armed American Radio, and he's like, hey, this is really cool. I want to help out with this. And a month later, or actually 2 days later, he's like, do you want to speak at the Gun Rights Policy Conference in a month down in Tampa? I'm like, yes, I do. I'd love to. Mm-hmm. And then that's how I got in the Club of Cool Kids.
How many interviews have you done?
This past week I put out episode 147.
What kind of car do you drive?
Now I drive a 2014 Dodge Charger.
So what did you take people around in before?
I don't want to tell you.
I think I know.
Now I want to know.
I think I know.
I had a 2010 Nissan Sentra.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that from the last time you called in. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think I asked you. I'm the car guy, so that's why I asked you that question.
Sure. Yeah, so I had that, and obviously if I flew someplace, I'd get a rental car.
Well,
but,
of course, yeah.
I retired the Nissan with 309,000 miles on it.
Sure.
Jeez.
And I've had the Dodge Charger for about 2.5 years. I got it at the beginning of the pandemic.
Of course.
And it had 80,000 miles, and I got about 179 right now. So done
Yeah.
done
You
100,000
got
miles.
once
in
you start
2.5.
making serious money, you got to get a unique car.
I would love that. I would
Something
love the
that
making
you
money part.
would always like a Cobra, or
Right.
Yeah, or even a Hummer H1, or
An MG.
or a Jeep,
Something, yeah.
a Jeep Wrangler.
A Geo Metro.
No, not a
That'll do
Jeep.
it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, as it grows, I mean, why not?
I think that'd be awesome. I originally, when I went with the Charger, I wanted to take the show on the road, and
Right.
so I was came up with this phrase that I call Stagecoach Across America. I'm taking the Stagecoach across America, and my game plan was to get a big car, or to get a car and put have it vinyl wrapped and put logos on it.
Sure.
And have a bunch of people pay for advertising on that. And so I realized that, one, my Nissan Sentra would not make it across the country, and two, I didn't have enough space for advertising. So I would drive by this Charger, and one of my friends is like, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying that Charger and vinyl wrapping it with my business." And I'm like, "Oh no, I think I'm going to do that for me." So I bought the car, but I don't have the vinyl wrap yet.
Nothing right on that.
Yeah.
So doing all those interviews, what have you learned about people?
I think we're mostly the same. Like we all have different reasons on why we're gun owners and why we carry, and certainly what we carry. But people all want to be able to protect themselves, and the more they want to be able to protect themselves and their family, and that's kind of what it all comes down to. And I've had people that were victims of crime that got into gun ownership because they were a victim of a crime, and I get people that do it because their family did it, their father did it. They went shooting or hunting with their father, and I think we're all the same. I really think that gun owners are just, gun owners are good people. Like the gun folks are the greatest folks. I've only had a couple people say that they don't want to be on the show, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'm not going to push it or anything. But
Like people in the industry.
one, she's sort of she's a YouTuber, and she's sort of ancillary to gun stuff. She's a little more freedom oriented.
And she still want to be on the.
She
can you give a real reason. Am I opening up a can of worms?
So calling up a woman and being like, "Hey, my name's Charlie. You want to get in the car and drive around?"
Oh yeah,
it's a hard sell for a complete stranger.
That's right. Hey, you're talking to a guy who started throwing his own prom every year. So if that gives you any insight as to
how do you get a date? I start my own prom.
Start my own prom. There, take that, every girl in high school.
Exactly.
I'll fix you.
Oh, that just sounded pathetic. Yeah. So what?
That's all right, man.
What was
we're all
the?
laughing.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all laughing.
With right.
Yes.
What was the best interview you did?
I think the one that I had the most fun with was Ashley Lubinsky, who's a firearm historian.
Oh, she knows so much.
It's great. So we were in Dallas, and I went and picked her up. I'm like, we're 15 minutes from Dealey Plaza. We're talking about you for 15 minutes. We're gonna drive down the center lane at 11 miles an hour. We're gonna get out. We're gonna get selfies in front of the school book depository, in front of the grassy knoll, in front of the X's, and then we're gonna talk about the Kennedy assassination.
Wow.
And she's like, I really don't know much about the conspiracies. I'm like, I think I know plenty for both of us.
Did you guys go up to did you go in?
We did not go in. No.
Have you ever been inside?
I've never. I've been down there twice.
So here's so they have the actual window is all plexiglassed off, and there's a bunch of boxes, and it's kind of laid out like it looked when he did it. But everybody goes up supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly right. For sure.
But everybody goes up to the floor above. I think that's the second floor. They go to the third floor Or is
It's
it
the
third
sixth
and
floor.
fourth, sixth floor, whatever. The floor above where it is, you can go right up to that window, so you're one floor above. And everybody I know who's a gun guy goes to that window and goes, I could make that shot. It's not that hard.
It's not that difficult. It shouldn't be.
Which is so morbid. But,
What are you gonna do? It is what it is.
It's kind of same thing when you get about 5 floors up, you got to spit, right?
Let's take a break, folks.
Oh.
Hey, folks, did you know we have a world-class training school right here in San Diego? Well,
Yes.
pilots can fly almost every day, close to the ocean, desert, mountains, and they're right next to the international border and a major military base. That's why San Diego is one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly in the heat, in the heart of San Diego, don't mind me, right out of Montgomery Field. Getting started is super easy. Give them a call, 858-569-1822, or you can go to Fly with SDFTI, or just give them a call, 858-569-1822.
John Petrolino, tell us about the Pen Patriot.
Okay, so I'm John Petrolino, and I picked up this nickname called the Pen Patriot, and
I like
really,
it. I like it because you're a writer. That's the
because I'm a writer.
There you go.
I'm pretty patriotic as well, so we just smashed that together. Actually, John Green, he's the head of training and education at Gun Owners Action League over in Massachusetts, which is the state level NRA organization. And he gave me that nickname, and
cool.
I took a little screenshot of that. I sent it to Charlie. I'm like, Charlie, what do you think of this? He's like, I think it's awesome. I'm like, all right, let's trademark it, and that's it. Now I'm the Pen Patriot. So
There you
go. But I do quite a bit of writing, as you know.
Yep.
And it's
who for mainly? Where do the people see your writing?
Right. So it's my side hustle. I write for Bearing Arms and for Ammo Land primarily. And I just want to toss out a real quick thank you to both editors over there. Bearing Arms, Cam Edwards, fantastic guy, really helped me a lot, and giving me a voice. And same thing with Freddie Reel over at Ammo Land for kind of taking me in and saying, hey, yeah, we'll let you, write for us. So those are the two ones that I write primarily for. And then I also do some blog entries for JM4 Tactical, which is a holster company in Texas, and Armed Lifestyle Magazine, which is a new free online magazine by Swanson Media Group. Charlie also writes for Armed Lifestyle. And Second Press by Braden Langley. Braden Langley's a personality online, and he's kind of breaking into more news and stuff like that. So I'll do some writing for him as well. And that's kind of my shtick.
So how do you it's a great shtick. How do you decide what to write? Like what makes that decision?
So obviously current events are important. So there's a lot of commentary. So over at Bearing Arms, do a great deal of commentary on what's going on. So same thing that you guys will be talking about, right? And then, I'll also grab the hard news items. So if there are things that are going on that are newsworthy, I'll, go out there and do the research or, find the people and the sources and try to get as much information about a story. But it's really...
You're not going to take it off Twitter and just write the story?
Right.
That's what journalists do today.
I will say I have written a couple commentary pieces like, look at this tweet that, is going on. But usually that's because of the cause, right?
Yeah. You're just being a true journalist if you're going to go do the hard work and ask the questions.
Right.
And get both sides, yeah.
Of course.
And what you wrote a great article on the in fact, I think you wrote a couple articles on Hammerling, our ridiculous Republican candidate for sheriff out here that we uncovered as just a buffoon, I guess. I think is the official political word.
That's a good one.
Yeah, not only.
What were your impressions though?
Hammerling, I had heard him on the show. I listened to the interview. I was like, I'm going to hunt this guy down and try to get some more information because I love the interview. You guys did a great job. And Michael was right. Yep, that's right. That's what I heard about you. That's what I heard about you. You like those red flag laws, and you like to give out the red flags to people that get parking tickets, and that's kind of what it's like around here, right? So I said, well, let me give him a fair shake, and I'm going to do like an email thing, like take your time. Feel free to think about what you want to say. And even after he was given free reign to email back, and I wrote him back, like went back and forth with the guy, like, all right, I'm going to print all of this. And the one thing that really, really made me angry about communicating with Hemmerling was he's like, I don't have anything against, these, the red flag, when it's being done, the extreme risk protective orders, when they're being executed, there's due process. There is due process. The person has, and they're not. I think the word ex parte is listed, what did I say, 34 or 40 times in the statute and the explanation of the law. So ex parte meaning, you're not there, and then you find out about your seizure. You get that knock on the door, and it's like, hey, give me your guns. And it's like, well, what did you do? Well, you got a parking ticket, and Hemmerling thinks you shouldn't have guns. So I thought he was very inauthentic in trying to say he's a Second Amendment supporter.
Right.
Especially because, as you know, there are so many mechanisms right now and have been in place for decades, since the beginning of time, where if somebody's a danger, they can have their firearms seized if there's a problem. And I think the other candidate for sheriff that's the favored candidate,
Kelly Martinez, and she had said, well, no, I don't have a problem. We never had a problem trying to get firearms from dangerous people if they were truly dangerous. But this is not, something.
And he was a Republican, and she is a Democrat.
Right, yeah. And
that just shows you the craziness of it
and,
all.
the thing about the Republicans here in San Diego, I wrote to the Republican committee here in San Diego. I said, hey, you're supporting this candidate that supports, extreme risk protective orders and red flag laws. Can you answer to this? And no response whatsoever. And I wrote the two top dogs, or the media guy. I don't know. We'd have to look up who I wrote. I don't remember. It was a couple months ago. And zero response. It's like, that's garbage.
The reality is they know they have a garbage candidate. Just now they're so invested and it'd be embarrassing and humiliating if they backed away, because we've proven just how horrible this candidate is. I mean, they know they've made a massive mistake.
Yeah, and he had what? He had the endorsement of the newspaper here in town, and then
they
retracted it. They retracted
What's
it.
that
It's
tell
like,
you?
oh my God, come on, guy.
Yeah. So but here's the thing: nobody would have uncovered most of that stuff. Nobody would have talked about it, but for San Diego County Gun Owners Radio, and you writing this article, and saying, hey, look, this is serious.
Well, if I see something like that, and that's, I guess, how I'm going to pick a news story. If I hear something, because I take in a lot of content, probably too much content, and if I hear something or I get a news tip, and that's another thing, I love getting news tips, some random emails from people like, hey, take a look at this. I'll dig into it. I really will, and you can reach out to me online. Go to my website, thepenpatriot.com, or you could go and find me on Facebook at The Pen Patriot, or Instagram, J Petrolino III. There's a whole bunch of different ways to reach out to me. So if people have news tips, and I've had some really good tips that have yielded great stories. It was the same thing, the supermarket story in Ohio with the no gun signs. A couple of weeks after, or a week of Ohio's permitless carry law getting signed, their local grocer, that's a big chain that services everybody up there, put all these no gun signs. So I dug into that, and the corporate responses that I got from their low level customer service reps were just packaged goods. But I reached out to their media representative and their vice presidents and all those people, zero responses. And sometimes the story is the people not replying.
Right.
It's not what's being said, it's what's not being said.
Mm-hmm.
So what story in the last couple of years is your favorite, or what stands out that you really enjoyed writing or are particularly proud of?
That's a very tough one. I always like writing about California. I really do, because you guys have awful things going on here all the time.
You'll always
And
have
that's somebody from
content.
New Jersey saying that
I
too.
know,
I mean,
I do.
But you'll always
That's how
have
bad we are.
content.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a favorite child. I love them all the same,
Yeah.
Sometimes I get an opportunity to be a little bit more creative. So I had written a piece about, and this was a training piece, we were writing about a slam fire with a shotgun. And Charlie and I were actually riding shotgun in a golf cart. And it was Tally Ho, that's right. And it was a couple of guys from CNJFO over in Jersey, and we were doing a shoot, and one of the guys had a slam fire with his double-barreled shotgun, closed it, and it went off. He had a malfunction.
Oh, that was an unintentional slam fire?
Yeah, it was like, so he's loading the firearm, he closed the action, and it went off. So that, took the gun out of commission. But to me, there was a story there to be told, and it was more than just the slam fires. Like, we're here, we're doing this, we're living it, breathing it. And, I like to write that kind of stuff too.
Nice. And this isn't your, excuse me, this isn't your career.
No, it's my
You
side
said
hustle.
your side hustle. Do you
Yeah,
mind,
it's my
do
side
you mind
hustle.
talking about your career?
No,
or-
He
work-
makes hoagies.
I make hoagies and grinders. I'm a merchant seaman, so I work on a ship. So I'll go away and I'll come back, and
I think that's awesome.
Do the engineering thing. So.
We've even had a couple of interviews where a couple of phone calls where you're calling from the boat, right?
It might have happened,
Yeah.
I'm not going to confirm or deny that.
Oh,
Michael.
okay. Never mind.
Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't.
Have you been to Kodiak Island yet?
No, I haven't.
I just came back.
Well, he's on the East Coast.
Oh, that's right. That'd be a long drive.
It is a long drive.
There's a canal he'd have to go through.
Yeah, maybe.
True.
If it's
I've
not
been
jammed.
through it 4 times. Believe it or not.
Hey,
Yeah.
there you go. How big a ship?
The one I'm on now is about 500 feet.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did you have to go through Piney Point to learn all that? or-
No, I went to Massachusetts Maritime Academy, and that's actually where I met my wife my first week of college. So
Wow.
yeah, so Mrs. P and I met there and stayed friends, and but it was at Mass Maritime and on the Cape Cod.
Did she? Because I'm wondering why. You might be the problem here. Because I get these things from the Maritime Job something or other sending me maritime jobs. I get these emails like a couple of times a week. And
Why
I'm
is
thinking,
it his
where?
fault?
Well, because I'm thinking
You're
where-
getting those too?
Where is this coming from? What did I sign up
I didn't.
for?
I
that
didn't
got
sell
those?
your email address, Joe.
You're the only one I know in that industry
I did not.
now.
I did not show. I did not sell your email address,
That's
Mike.
so
Are you
funny.
getting those emails? You're not.
No. No, not me. I didn't serve on a sub or a ship, though.
I ate a sub. I ate a sub.
That's about all I've ever done with a
That's
sub.
all I know about a sub. I ate a sub for sure.
So what's your biggest fear? What's the worst thing that's about to happen to gun rights?
You got 1 minute.
The biggest fear that's going to happen to
Yeah.
gun rights, they're just going to flip the light switch and say it's game over, and just like that. That's what my biggest fear is, where it's a complete disregard of law and order, and they come and do exactly what was it Feinstein wanted to do, hand them all in.
Yeah.
That's my biggest fear. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't think so, but don't. I'd be worried if you see the blue helmets.
The thing is, I think is it gonna happen? It's probably not gonna happen, but thanks to people like our members and folks in this room, could it happen? Absolutely, but it won't because we keep fighting back.
PRMI Mortgage, primeres.com/Alpine. Hey, if you're looking to buy or refi, or if you're just considering a reverse mortgage, call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. Call Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. They make it easy. Work with a friendly expert team that will help you get the best deal on a mortgage. Give them a call, 619-722-1303, or just go to Chris's website, primeres.com/Alpine.
All right, we're talking to two of my favorite gentlemen, Charlie from Riding Shotgun with Charlie, and John Petrolino, the Penn Patriot. You guys flew all the way out here, spent a few days with us, just to go to Gun Prom.
Just to go to Gun Prom.
Yeah.
John called me in January, and he puts his wife on the phone, and she's like, the only Second Amendment event John can go to this year is Gun Prom. You want to come with us? Yeah. And I'm like, yes.
Sure.
Let's figure out how we can make this happen.
Did you guys see that Action Jackson here put an invite out to Lena Miklick?
Really?
And she responded. She was like, oh, my God, that sounds cool. What did she say? Do you remember what she said, Jackson?
She's washing her hair.
No, but next year she would come. The only reason she said no this year because she was going bear hunting.
She's going bear hunting. I'm pretty sure that's the only time that excuse has ever been used. You know what I mean? Like, it's usually washing my hair, but I'm going bear hunting is pretty unique. So I know she was telling the truth then.
And next year will be her first prom.
That's true. That's true. We'll get the date out there so that you can get it to her. Make sure that she doesn't plan any bear hunts.
So that never happened to you, Michael, in high school? They say, I can't go with you to prom, Mike. I'm going bear hunting.
I got a bear hunt. Yeah.
There's none of that, huh?
None of that. They didn't.
Everything else.
Yeah, they weren't.
A lot of girls got their hairs washed that week.
My high school had the cleanest hair. It was amazing.
That's funny.
Yeah, me too.
So what, John? When you walked, who's laughing now, ladies?
They still are.
Yeah, I know. So when you walked into Gun Prom, what was your impression, John?
I thought it was great. I walked in, I'm like, oh my God, hashtag these are my people. And then
Yeah.
what did I see? Behold, there's Michael. The first person that laid eyes on me was Michael.
There you go.
You're like, go hang out with the people that you know. And Charlie are like, all right, you're here. So that's you. And eventually we ran into Joe and Jackson and Gina. Gina was probably the second person we ran into. Gina, we were able to do like a 6-person selfie with Gina's arms because Gina has that reach.
Big arm.
I haven't seen Gina since it was probably last March. Was it in Florida Cary? So that was a good time. And then Charlie was talking about the events. So turns out I am going to be able to make it to GRPC this year. So you should come out to that.
In
Mike.
Arizona?
It's in Dallas, right?
GRPC is in Dallas this year.
Oh, it's in Dallas. Okay.
Yeah, it's at the oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess the dates up, but I think it's the very end of September, first weekend of October.
Okay.
I think it's like September 30 to August 2nd.
All right.
So
Jackson, what do you say, man? Road trip? We'll grab some red Fantas and go on a road trip.
Yep.
I like it. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah. Did you guys go last year?
I've been.
Was it 2 years? Did they skip a year because of COVID? Or?
They did it virtually in 2021. In 2020 and 2021, they did it virtually. Those 2 years. I've been going and speaking at it since 2016. And one of the other things that we have is we have this thing called AmCon. It's the Alternative Multimedia Conference, which might be good for you guys to come check out. It is writers, podcasters, YouTubers, anyone that's putting out some sort of media that's not the mainstream folks.
Right.
So
Where's that?
that's going to be in the same place. It's going to be the day before
Dallas?
GRPC. Yeah, it's going to be in Dallas on Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday is going to be GRPC.
That could be a good road trip. It's like Vacaville, but longer.
Yeah, you want to go?
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll look at the calendar and see what's what.
Cool. I will say this: you sign up at saf.org at the Second Amendment Foundation website, and registration is free. You just have to be a Second Amendment member, a member of the Second Amendment Foundation.
Which I'm pretty
Which
sure. If I'm not, I need to be.
Yeah, you should be, and it's free. You they provide you a couple of meals.
Yeah.
They you obviously pay for your own hotel and your own travel, but they give you a couple of meals. They have coffee all day long, and it's great stuff. It really is the movers and shakers in the gun community. And
Yeah.
when people say they go to these events and it's like a family reunion, I always thought that was kind of strange. But the second one I went to is when I really realized what it is, because you meet these people, you see them online, you listen to them, you watch their videos, and then you start to interact with them, and then you see them a year later. You're like, oh my God, I haven't seen you since last year. It's great to catch up. It's great to see you in person, and you get a camera full of selfies with everybody. So
There you go.
it's a lot of fun.
Selfies.
Yeah.
Now, something that occurred to me today? This wasn't really planned. We didn't try to do this. This wasn't some kind of ham-handed attempt, but we had a lot of speakers at Gun Prom. Short, couple minutes here and there. But me and Adam Kraut were the only guys. Did you guys notice that? The MC was a woman.
Right.
Pledge of Allegiance woman. The lady
Banner.
woman. Wendy for Not Me. We had Amy Reichart. We had Laura Lothian, Desi. I just thought about that today, but I don't know. You guys have been to way more Second Amendment events than I have. Are they usually female dominated like that?
Not at all. Not at all.
I think was it the first one I went to. The first Second Amendment event that I went to was the Florida Cary event, and the second one was a DC Project event. So the DC Project event, that's tough because, of course, there was a lot of women. It was the DC Project. Actually, all the speakers except for Dick Heller were female.
Yeah.
So that was a good time in Jersey it was May, right? Last May. So I'm still kind of just getting out there.
Yeah. All right. No. I was proud of that. In hindsight, didn't even notice it. But what else? What are some other impressions? Did you like the guns? Did you like the the raffle prizes? Did you shoot the simulator?
I didn't really care for the raffle prizes because I didn't win any of them, Michael. I put my tickets in and I didn't get a phone call. And at the end of the night, I'm like, Michael, wait, did they pull the tickets? You're like, yeah, you know, what else do you want from us? I'm like, I didn't win. I didn't win anything. I put my tickets in the bucket.
Flew all that way.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you didn't say that, but
so we were. This is you know, it was like 40 guns. It was like 38, 37, cool. Something like that. But every year. So we're thinking like, gosh, if we read off numbers one by one, people are gonna be sitting there for an hour.
Oh my god!
Just listening to numbers.
Yeah. Like
awful. we got to do something else. So we tried just doing it all at once, and then last night, and I think we got close. It's gonna be even better next year, I promise.
I thought it was good. I've been to a lot of different gift auctions and stuff like that, so I thought it actually went very smooth, and the way everything's registered, it was very seamless. So,
well, good.
I mean, hat tip to you guys in that department.
You'd recommend it to your friends?
I would. I did. I recommended it to Charlie, and when we showed up,
did you guys get a picture together?
A couple.
Well, that's cool. So, Charlie, what's your biggest fear in Second Amendment? What are you afraid of most?
So I think my biggest fear is people talk about having a national carry permit. And I don't see using a Red Dawn analogy here, I don't see the free states or free America bending, and I don't see occupied territory wanting to give anything up. So it's going to be a Mexican standoff, I think. And when I've had a lot of people teaching classes, they're like, well, you know, I said your mass license will work in this state, but it doesn't work in this state. And I do the Utah class, and they're like, well, how do we get out of our state? How do we get out of the Northeast? And they say, wouldn't it be nice if we had a national permit? And I'm like, no, it wouldn't be. And let me tell you why. Because what the government gives us, the government can take away. Yeah. And I'm kind of coming around to, you know, we talk about the language like you were talking about, that we need to say that, you know, 1.5 to 2 million people use a gun to protect themselves. We all talk about constitutional carry, and then John and I have this argument, not an argument, we have a discussion, and we have it with some other friends too, about how constitutional carry is really permitless carry. And then permitless carry, I interviewed, I haven't put the show out yet, but I've interviewed Evan Knappen, who's a big Second Amendment attorney in New Jersey and in New Hampshire. And I interviewed him up in New Hampshire. And he said, he says, I don't like calling it a permit. I like calling it a license, because permit means you have to ask for permission. So if there's a national permit, and the government can now come out and say, this is what the standards are, you have to, like you guys have here, you have to have these guns, or these are the guns you qualify on, and these are the only guns you can carry. And to me, that seems completely nuts. So having, if you
so your fear is a national license.
Yeah, I think
you
so.
Think it'll make things worse.
It will make things worse, because now the government's going to say, this is the standard you have to have. This is the class you have to take. You guys talk about it all the time, about the two people, about the psychological evaluation. There's only 2 people that you have to go see. Yeah. So now the government's saying, these are the only 2 people that can do this, or whatever. These are the only people you can go see, and they're the ones that you have to pay $150 for, and then it's going to cost people out of. It's going to price people out of being able to have a constitutional right. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think that Joe and I talked about this a little bit. I think it was on the ride to and from Vacaville. It feels like constitutional carry's taken over. I mean, what are we up to? 25 states now?
25 now, yeah, with Georgia, I think was the last one.
So half the states in the union, you just carry a gun like you're free.
I mean, I do a lot of research on this stuff, and we talk about it, and there already is a national permit. It starts with a well-regulated militia. I mean, that's the national permit. So why are we joking ourselves, right? And that's where we get into the constitutional carry debate, right? So what is constitutional carry? And I think you can probably speak for Paul.
Right. So Paul Lathrop, there's the deputy director of the social media, new media. He says constitutional carry is, I can carry a Glock 18 with a 33-round stick mag into a school while I'm maybe he doesn't say while I'm drunk, but I can do all.
Well, I'm drunk.
I can go into a place with a machine gun that I own with a high cap magazine and go into a gun-free zone and carry in there. And he says that's constitutional carry. So John's like, hey, constitutional carry, we need to call it permitless carry. So you don't have to have a permit to carry, but there's still restrictions and regulations. You can't go here, you can't go there, and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of interesting. And then John's got I know we don't have time for it, but John's got a great story about one of his people.
Yeah, we don't have time for it.
We'll kick it off on the next. What we'll do is we'll tell the story.
Well, we got a minute and a half. How much time you need?
Yeah, so it was just going to have a former student say, hey, why do you use the word permitless carry? Cam Edwards says constitutional carry. This guy says constitutional carry. I gave the guy a full explanation. Why do I use permitless carry? Because there's still regulations you got to follow. And he's like, I'm just going to call it constitutional carry. I'm like, all right, whatever. Do what you want to do.
Do what you want to do.
Yeah, and that's it. That's not my champagne. I'm not going to make a big deal about it.
Exactly.
It's sparkling wine.
Well, we live in a time where the mainstream media and politicians are trying to eliminate your ability to defend yourself. Gun control laws just don't work. And if laws against murder don't stop a criminal, is a background check really going to stop them? Making good people helpless doesn't make bad people harmless. Help us restore and defend the Second Amendment. Hit the like and subscribe button and share the show with as many friends as you can.
Making people helpless doesn't make bad people harmless?
Correct.
That's awesome.
Making good people helpless.
Making good people helpless doesn't make bad people harmless.
So we need a T-shirt.
Yeah, I think that's great. I wonder where he got that. Is that Rich? Who wrote that? That must be Rich that wrote that.
Yeah, that's the second time.
The other thing I like that Rich says is he doesn't call it gun restrictions, or he calls it victim disarmament.
Ooh.
Yeah. He's like he said that we should oppose victim disarmament laws. That's Rich Umel. If you're out there, buddy.
Where is he?
He's
Mexico, I think. Isn't he?
He's thinking deep thoughts and coming up with phrases.
Very good.
No, I don't know. I don't know where he is. I see he was at Gun Prom last night. All right, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. This is the segment where if you have a question and you send it to us, if we use it on the air, we'll send you a shirt or a hat. And if you stump my nephew, we'll give you something real special. And I just realized I don't know if we have anything real special today, so hopefully it'll get stumped. We'll figure it out. We were giving away Gun Prom tickets, but we'll figure it out. Where's he from? Is he from San Diego?
Huntington Beach.
All right, we'll figure it out. We'll get you some training. We'll get you something really, really cool. I promise. If you stump my nephew, Sam, how you doing, bud?
All right. How are you guys?
Good, man. All right. So we have a special guest asker, John Petrolino.
Nice to meet you, sir.
And the reason he's going to ask, he's the asker, is because he's earned this, and he's earned it because I don't think we realize this till today, but he has how many times have you been stumped? Like 5 or 6 or something?
A few, but I don't keep track of my record, so I couldn't tell you for sure.
Very few. Over the last 4 or 5 years, you've been stumped very few times. But John just pointed out that he stumped you twice. Same guy stumped you twice.
Okay, well, we'll see if you can go 3 for 3.
But this isn't your question, is it, John?
This is not my question, Sam.
But he earned the right to ask it.
I appreciate the time, and I love the segment, Sam. So I'll come up with something maybe in a couple weeks. But this question this week comes from Manny from Huntington Beach. You ready, Sam?
Let's have it.
Okay. What incredibly popular firearm did Ruger pass on?
Manny from Huntington Beach.
That's right.
Thanks for writing in. What incredibly popular firearm did Ruger pass on?
Like decide to not take, like pass on.
Decide to not produce.
Yeah.
Ruger has been around since 1949, so I'm sure there are a few that they've passed on. I'm not sure of the answer to this specific question, but let me do what I normally do in this position and sort of free associate a little bit and see if I hit on the answer. I can tell you that Bill Ruger was what we would call a FUD. He was very opposed to modern firearms, I guess you could say, and magazines holding over 10 rounds. I know they poached Jim Sullivan from Armalite after they shut down, and he designed the M77 and Mini 14, which Bill Ruger was hoping would get military contracts instead of the AR-15, which of course didn't happen. So it might be something related to that. I'm not sure. or it could be something completely off the wall. I don't know.
Throw a firearm out there.
Throw a firearm out there.
A popular one, a very popular one.
Okay, I don't know. Exclusive import rights for Glock or something?
Along the lines that you were just thinking.
I know. Is that your final answer?
SIG? I know Smith & Wesson imported for SIG, so
Right.
Ruger could have
I think he stumped you. Go ahead, John. Read the.
Sam, I'm sad to. I'm going to read it verbatim because Rich did this right. We're going to do it. The inventor of the AR-15, Eugene Stoner, while working as the chief engineer at Armalite, purportedly offered the rights to manufacture the AR-15 to Ruger. Apparently, Ruger was not interested. However, Colt was. The rest is, as they all say, history.
That's interesting. All right. He stumped you. We owe Manny. We owe you a special something. We'll get a hold of you and figure out. Maybe we'll get you some training or something cool. If you're listening, email us and let us know what you're thinking, and we'll see if we can make it happen. But we got to come up with some kind of special gift. So, why was he a FUD? Tell me a little bit more about that. How do you know that, or what? Tell me just a little bit more about that, Sam.
I don't know what motivated his particular attitudes, but I know the man himself took a very active role in deciding what the company would and wouldn't produce. And as I said, they poached Jim Sullivan, who worked on the AR-15 project, and he worked at Ruger as designing firearms for a number of years, including the Mini 14. And there are pretty good records out there. It's well known that Ruger the man hoped to market through his company the Mini 14 as a replacement for the M14 rifle, because he thought the military, especially the Army, which was very conventional, very conservative, would prefer something with the same mechanics or similar mechanics in the same manual of arms to the M1 and the M14 instead of this fancy schmancy newfangled plastic thing.
And John, you and Charlie, you guys kind of laughed when he said that he was a FUD. Is that is there a backstory there? Did you know he had that reputation?
I did not know this about Ruger. I wanted to chime in and say that we were all pulling for Sam, and as soon as he started to say that, talk about the AR and he's a bit of a FUD, and we're like, oh my god, he totally nailed it.
I thought he was going around the weeds. I thought he was going around the back like he normally does.
He normally does,
and
yeah.
Nothing. And I was like, and he's like, I'm going to go with the, like, really? Like, he's just right around the whole thing. Like, right around the answer.
It's good that he misses it. I'm like that uncle that, like, college boy, think you're smarter than your uncle, do you? So every once in a while when
you like to give it to him.
Yeah, you got to, you know what I mean?
And by the way, we started that with Sam, and then Uncle Mikey decided that was not the direction to go.
Wait, which
thinking
one?
that you were smarter than he was.
Yeah, no. He's
that lasted, what, 2 questions?
He's like, Sam's seriously like the third smartest person I know, next to my dad and his dad.
Yeah, there you go.
So he comes by it honestly.
All right, cool. Did you have a good Father's Day?
Yeah, I mean, my father is the one who really matters in this case, so I'm sure he did. But, yeah, it was all right.
Did you do anything special? Did you take him shooting or anything?
No, I was at work today, but we had a nice dinner as a family. I gave him some Black Rifle coffee as a gift.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Matt Best was just in town. Did you guys go to that on Friday? Did you know that? No.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, FPC had a fundraiser. FPC, we are absolutely going to coordinate much better.
Yeah, you need to.
FPC had a major fundraiser Friday night. And then we had ours Saturday night, and somewhere along the way, we were like both inviting each other to the same thing, and we're both like, wait a minute. Oh. Anyway, Matt Best was there and some other folks.
I was talking with Ursula Williams today, and she was saying that you need to have a homecoming week and do events all the time. And she mentioned to Rich while we were eating that you should have a king and queen of the prom as well.
We talked about that. In fact, you were there during the conversation last night. We were talking.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember.
I may not.
Your high school girlfriend will be forever envious.
Yes, But we were we're trying to figure out the logistics. We don't know if like the people at Gun Prom should vote and nominate like regular proms, or I don't know. We're trying to figure it out.
You got to watch that. That's not as straightforward as it used to be.
Somebody could bring in some mail-in voting or something.
Yeah,
right?
you got to be careful.
Maybe it should just be prom person. Prom person in person.
It's still California.
Yeah.
That would probably won't fly either.
Well,
How about this? I have an idea.
all right.
Well, call it Second Amendment Week and coordinate all your events around that. Have something every day. Second, do 2 rounds of voting. First, people nominate and then select, sort of down select to the most popular candidates who have done important things, movers and shakers in the San Diego area in the 2A community over the past year. And then during 2A week, all the people who have tickets for Gun Prom get to vote. Down selected candidates, maybe 6 or so.
He's a pretty smart guy.
He is, right? What are you done with college, man? Just move out here.
And work for Mike.
Yeah, just crunch numbers.
I'm majoring in international affairs, which is adjacent to political science, so I would be remiss if I didn't have at least some knowledge of electoral systems.
Jeez Louise.
Isn't
it time for your bedtime?
Awesome job, Sam, as always.
Thanks for having me on. Fun question. I guess Ruger finally came around because now they manufacture some pretty all right AR-15s, though their quality control sometimes leaves a bit to be desired. But interesting question.
Cool. All right, buddy. Always a joy. Thanks.
Good night.
Good night now. Well, that takes care of our Ruger sponsorship. We got a sign tomorrow.
He answered that question like last week about the dum-dum ammo or whatever.
Yeah.
I was talking to my old man. He goes, "Yeah, I thought everybody knew that." I'm like, "Oh, jeez."
Not
Not everybody knows.
Did he really
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that?
That's what, well, I thought everybody knew that.
Oh, my Lord.
By the way, you guys have never met my dad. That was actually a really good impression of my dad. It sounded exactly
Was that a good one?
Yeah. Oh, I thought everybody knew that.
All right, folks. Hey, subscribe to our show and give us a 5-star review. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. And do us a favor, stop by our sponsors and thank them. San Diego County, Orange County, Inland Empire Gun Owners, the Dillon Law Group, PRMI Mortgage, Sage Tree Digital Marketing, Seal One, Leo Hamill's Fine Jewelry, and San Diego Flight Training International. And a big shout out to Joe Germisi, Michael Schwartz, Sam the Gunman, Action Jackson, and Brandon Thomas, and our special guests in the house. Let's go riding with Charlie, riding shotgun with Charlie, and the Italian.
The Italian. John Petrolino, the Penn Patriot, and riding shotgun with Charlie.
This program is sponsored by Dave Stahl.
KCBQ, San Diego.